Opening, unlocking the hidden psychology of attraction. Let me ask you something most men rarely consider. What if right now, as you're watching this video, there's a woman out there secretly thinking about you? Not in a casual, passing way, but deeply, emotionally. She's picturing conversations with you, wondering what it would be like to be closer to you. And the most surprising part? You have no idea. Now, let's pause and confront a common myth. Many men grow up believing that to attract women, they need to be loud, charismatic, or constantly putting themselves out there. They think attraction comes from showing off, dominating the room, or always having the right words. But psychology and real-life behavior tells a very different story. In reality, women are often drawn to a completely different kind of man. The man who isn't trying to impress anyone. The man who is comfortable in his own skin, even when no one's watching. The man who walks into a room and feels no need to perform. In fact, the most common type of man who becomes a secret crush is the one who doesn't even know it. He's not chasing attention. He's not trying to be noticed. And that exact lack of effort is what makes him magnetic. Here's a paradox worth exploring. The less you try to be impressive, the more unforgettable you become, because you're not filtered. You're real. And this sets the foundation for everything we'll uncover today. Because once you understand the subtle signals, the silent emotional cues, and the psychology behind hidden female attraction, you'll begin to realize that your quiet presence might already be leaving a deep impression. Let's break it down. Part 1. Secret signs of a crush that makes you have a crush. Brain Part 1. When she acts nervous around you. The psychology behind subtle attraction. Let's begin with one of the most overlooked, but incredibly telling, signs that a woman might secretly have feelings for you. She gets nervous in your presence. Now, this might not be the kind of nervousness that's obvious or dramatic. Often, it shows up in small, easily missed behaviors. She plays with her hair or jewelry. Her voice suddenly goes slightly higher. She stumbles over her words or shifts topics randomly. She seems distracted, even when you're talking directly to her. On the surface, these seem like quirks or random behaviors. But psychologically, they're connected to something deeper. Why does this happen? Because when someone has a secret attraction, they enter a state of heightened emotional awareness. In psychology, this is linked to limbic system arousal, the body's natural reaction to emotional stimuli. For women, this can trigger a teen-like nervous energy. Does my hair look okay? Should I start a conversation? Or will that be too obvious? Why am I overthinking everything? And the key reason behind all this nervousness? You represent a specific type of attraction, one that is authentic, unpredictable, and emotionally compelling. You're not trying to be charming. And that unpredictability becomes intriguing. Women may not consciously recognize it, but subconsciously, they're reacting to the fact that you're not seeking approval, you're just being you. Puzzle piece summary. What to notice? Don't overlook awkward or nervous behaviors. They might mean more than you think. If she seems unusually fidgety or off around you, it may not be discomfort. It could be attraction, masked by anxiety. Your calm, grounded presence might be triggering something powerful she didn't expect. Eyes Part 2. She looks at you, then quickly looks away. Let's move to a second behavioral signal, one that often flies under the radar, yet says a lot about hidden attraction. She glances at you when she thinks you're not looking, then quickly looks away when your eyes meet. This is one of the most classic indicators of secret interest. It usually happens in everyday settings. At work, across the hallway or during meetings. In a coffee shop, when you're standing in line or reading alone. At the gym, between sets or across the room. You might notice a woman glance at you, then quickly avert her eyes the moment she realizes she's been caught. Sometimes, there's even a visible reaction, slightly widened eyes, a blush, or an awkward smile. Brain psychological insight. Why does this happen? This behavior ties into two layers of human psychology. Social monitoring. When someone is attracted to you, their brain is subtly analyzing. How do you carry yourself? Do you smile at others? Do you look confident or withdrawn? These micro-observations are subconscious. It's not judgment, it's curiosity mixed with emotional investment. Fear of exposure. Once she realizes you noticed her looking, the automatic reaction is to look away. Why? Because eye contact triggers vulnerability. It's a moment where hidden feelings risk being exposed. So that quick glance away isn't rejection, it's a self-protective reflex. A signal that you're emotionally charged in her perception. The truth is, we don't look away from what we dislike, we look away from what we're afraid might matter. Magnifying glass key takeaways. A quick glance followed by a retreat isn't random, it's emotional information. If this happens more than once, it's likely not a coincidence. These subtle behaviors are how attraction hides in plain sight, and how you can learn to see it. Part 3. She remembers the little things you said. Let's talk about a signal of hidden attraction that's often dismissed, yet deeply revealing. She remembers tiny details from your past conversations. Maybe it's something casual you mentioned once, weeks ago, your favorite late-night snack, that random documentary you said you liked, a joke you made in passing, or an opinion you expressed only briefly. And then suddenly, she brings it up again, casually, seamlessly, almost like it was nothing. But here's the truth, it's not nothing. It's a sign that her brain is tagging you as important. And that tagging process isn't conscious, it's emotional. DNA, the psychology behind it. In cognitive psychology, this is known as selective memory encoding. Our brains naturally filter out 99% of what we hear in everyday conversations. We don't retain what we don't care about. So when someone remembers the tiny, seemingly irrelevant things you've said, it's because those details were emotionally prioritized. People don't remember facts. They remember feelings, especially when those feelings are linked to a specific person. This kind of attentiveness isn't just politeness. It reflects emotional investment. She's listening not to respond, but to understand, to connect. It's an unconscious form of mental bookmarking. Your words are being saved. Because you matter. Push-pin key indicators to watch for. She quotes something you said weeks ago. Word for word. She references a small opinion or preference you thought was forgettable. She follows up on personal stories you shared, even if they seemed trivial. Magnifying glass. Why this matters. This level of memory shows you're living rent-free in her subconscious mind. When someone is secretly attracted to you, your words don't just pass, they stay. Part 4. The truth about attraction. It's not about impressing her. Let's break a powerful myth today. Many men believe that to attract someone, they have to perform, say the right lines, Act confident at all times. Try to impress her with money, status, or charm. But psychology and real-world experience tell us something else entirely. Bar graph what actually builds attraction. Attraction, especially the kind that lasts, isn't built on flashy moves. It's built on authenticity. Women are often drawn to men who are emotionally grounded, comfortable in their own presence, not trying to win anyone's approval. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being real. A 2021 study on interpersonal dynamics showed that perceived sincerity ranks significantly higher than appearance or charisma in long-term attraction. And neurologically, people feel safer and more connected with individuals who are predictably authentic, because their social cues align with their internal state. Puzzle piece why this matters. When you stop trying to impress and start expressing who you really are, your values, your thoughts, you're calm, people notice. And often, the right people are quietly drawn in. This is why some men have silent admirers. They're not loud. They're not trying to sell themselves. They're just being who they are, without apology. Checkmark. What can you do now? Start paying attention. Who's consistently kind, curious, or attentive around you? Be present. You don't need to prove anything. Just be there, fully. Be kind. Be aware. Be genuine, not because it's a tactic, but because it's who you choose to be. The real power? It's not in being liked. It's in becoming someone worth being around. Part 5. The hidden meaning behind her casual questions. Let's look at a subtle, but powerful, sign that someone may be quietly attracted to you. They ask personal questions, but they disguise them as casual conversation. At first glance, it might sound like small talk. So, are you close with your family? What made you choose that career path? What's your idea of a perfect weekend? Do you believe people can really move on from past relationships? But these aren't just filler questions. In fact, they're doing something much deeper. Bullseye. Why these questions matter. From a psychological perspective, these are exploratory cues. They serve 3 key purposes. Assess compatibility. She's trying to understand your values, family, ambition, emotional history. Build emotional intimacy. These questions bypass surface-level chatter and create a sense of closeness. Gauge long-term potential. She's not just observing you in the moment. She's envisioning where you could fit in her future. Importantly, these questions are usually not asked directly or forcefully. They're woven into light conversations, where curiosity feels spontaneous and unforced. Brain. The psychology behind it. According to research in interpersonal communication, people tend to ask deeper questions when they feel emotionally invested, but don't want to appear too obvious. It's a balance of interest without exposure. This strategy allows them to gather emotional data without fully revealing their hand. So ask yourself, who in your life is asking questions that seem casual, but touch something personal? And why might they care about that part of you? Compass takeaway. The next time someone steers a conversation toward your goals, relationships, or childhood, not to judge, but to understand, pay attention. It might not be an interview. It might be attraction, carefully disguised as curiosity. Part 2. Explaining the psychology behind secret like. Social culture affects how women express affection. A question most men never ask themselves. Have you ever wondered if someone was secretly into you? but you never realized it until much later? It's more common than you think, and the reason isn't always your fault. Sometimes, the signals are there, but the system isn't designed for you to see them clearly. Face mask social norms shape female expression of interest. Let's begin with a key idea. Social and cultural conditioning deeply influences how women express romantic interest. In many cultures, even in modern Western societies, women are often discouraged from being too forward. Instead, they're taught to be subtle, let the man initiate, use indirect ways of showing affection. This pattern isn't just a personal habit, it's a socially reinforced behavior. It shows up in everything from childhood messaging to media portrayal. So what does this mean in real life? A woman may smile more when she's around you, but avoid saying it's because of you. She might initiate small talk, but never directly flirt. She may go out of her way to help you or remember your preferences, without ever naming it attraction. To many men, these behaviors look like friendliness, but in reality, they can be signs of deep emotional interest, filtered through social expectations. Brain: why men often miss the signal. From a psychological perspective, men are often conditioned to look for explicit signals, direct compliments, bold actions, clear invitations. But when women communicate affection in a coded, indirect way, those cues go unnoticed or misinterpreted. It's not a lack of awareness. It's a mismatch in social signaling. Bullseye key takeaway: if you're only looking for attraction in loud, obvious places, you may be missing the most sincere forms of it. The next time someone is unusually thoughtful, quietly observant, or emotionally consistent, ask yourself, is this just politeness, or something more intentional? In the next section, we'll explore the psychology behind emotional memory and what it reveals about secret attraction. 2. Men who are secretly attractive tend to share the following qualities. Key introduction: attraction isn't always about looks or status. Here's a question most men rarely stop to ask. What actually makes a man quietly magnetic, without him even trying? In today's world of loud personalities and curated social media images, we often assume attraction comes from being flashy, dominant, or constantly impressive. But research and real human experience shows us something far more subtle. Some of the most attractive men don't chase attention, and yet they naturally hold it. Let's break down why. Magnet Section 1. The principle of optimal distance. This concept is key to understanding quiet male magnetism. Optimal distance is the psychological balance between two opposing forces. Closeness: you're approachable, present, and open. Mystery: you maintain your boundaries. Purpose and a sense of independence. When these are in balance, you become emotionally safe, yet not fully predictable. Available for connection, but not seeking approval. Intriguing, because you're not fully decoded. This subtle tension creates a powerful psychological effect. People lean in when they sense there's more to discover. Bullseye Section 2. Authenticity plus inner direction equals the rare signal. Another major reason quietly attractive men stand out is this: they're genuinely themselves in a world full of performance. They don't try to impress. They don't chase validation. They simply live in alignment with their values, calm, clear, and consistent. Women subconsciously read this as stability, integrity, relationship potential. This isn't about being overly nice or passive, it's about being centered. With a life that reflects purpose and strength. Brain conclusion. What women truly notice. Behind many quiet crushes is this simple truth. The man wasn't loud, he was real. He didn't try to be noticed. He just showed up as himself, and that was rare enough to be magnetic. So here's the real question. Are you projecting noise or depth? In the next section, we'll explore how emotional memory reveals when someone is secretly invested in you. 3. The reason a crush is kept secret. Brain introduction. The hidden reason behind her silence. Have you ever felt like someone might be interested in you, but never says anything? She smiles. She remembers what you say. She's always nearby, but never makes a move. Why? Today, we explore a quiet truth that explains this mysterious distance, and it has nothing to do with rejection. Compass Section 1. When you seem too taken or too good. Many women keep their feelings hidden not because they're not interested, but because they believe you're unavailable. Here's how this misunderstanding happens. She assumes you're already in a relationship. Maybe you never mention dating, but you carry yourself with confidence, maturity, and presence. In her mind, someone like you must be taken. She believes you're out of her league. Whether it's emotional intelligence, career focus, or how you treat others, some women interpret your consistency and depth as too good to be true. Instead of risking rejection, they choose silence. This is an emotional defense mechanism. If a woman feels unworthy, she won't reveal her cards. Puzzle piece section 2. Why she still stays close. Even if she doesn't confess her interest, she often lingers. She listens more closely. She mirrors your mood. She finds reasons to stay near. Even in group settings. It's subtle, but intentional. In psychology, this is called passive signaling. It's a way to create space for connection, without risking vulnerability. Magnifying glass conclusion. What this means for you. Sometimes, being admired doesn't look like flirtation. It looks like quiet observation. So the next time someone seems unusually attentive, but reserved, ask yourself, does she think I'm unavailable, or just too rare? Understanding this hidden layer of attraction can change how you see the signals around you. In the next section, we'll decode how subtle body language reveals emotional investment. Part 3. Meaning and what you should do. You are in a special position. Compass introduction. The power of unintentional attraction. Let me start with a bold idea. You may be far more attractive than you realize. Not in a loud, attention-grabbing kind of way, but in a quiet, powerful way that makes people, especially women, take notice even when you're not trying. This type of attraction is rare and deeply misunderstood. Brain section 1. Natural magnetism without effort. Some men carry a quality that draws others in, not through performance or persuasion, but simply through how they exist. This usually comes from emotional self-control, clear life direction, authenticity, and self-respect. Ironically, these traits are attractive because they're not designed to attract. And this leads to a surprising situation. You may become highly appealing to others, but not obviously so. Construction section 2. The misunderstanding. You seem unreachable. Here's the psychological twist. Because you're not chasing validation, because you're calm, composed, and independent, others might assume he's not interested. He's already taken. He's too good for someone like me. In short, you appear less available, even when you're fully open to connection. This can unintentionally create emotional distance. It's called perceived inaccessibility, when people see you as attractive and out of reach. Bullseye conclusion: awareness creates opportunity. The key insight here is this: attraction without effort is powerful, but awareness is what makes it useful. If you're not aware of how people might see you, you could be missing silent signals of interest, thinking no one notices, when in reality, you're on someone's mind far more often than you think. In the next part, we'll explore why you might already be someone's secret crush. What should you do if you care as well? Magnifying glass introduction: recognizing the quiet signals of interest. Let's say someone might secretly like you, but what if you're interested in them too? The problem is, subtle attraction is often mutual, yet invisible, because neither side makes a clear move. So how do you know when to act? The answer lies in noticing the subtle signs, and then responding with quiet clarity. Not grand gestures. Brain section 1. Watch for behavioral cues. Psychology shows us that when someone is emotionally invested, they start paying attention to small things. They remember things you said weeks, or even months, ago. They show up where you are, casually, but consistently. They ask about your life, not just surface questions, but real curiosity. These aren't coincidences. They're behavioral breadcrumbs of emotional investment. By staying observant, not paranoid, you can identify whether someone is quietly leaning in. Handshake section 2. Responding without losing yourself. Here's the key: you don't need to change who you are to respond to interest. You're already attractive because of your natural self. But what you can do is become just a bit more intentional. For example, instead of overthinking for days, suggest a casual coffee. Instead of vague conversation, ask something personal. In psychology, this is called escalating clarity. You stay grounded, but you invite connection. Most of the time, these subtle actions are received warmly, especially when they match what the other person was quietly hoping for. Checkmark conclusion: small signals, big shifts. When attraction is unspoken, the smallest gesture can feel monumental. The person who's quietly drawn to you may just be waiting for permission to move closer. So, if you care too, don't overperform. Just make one step clearer. In the next episode, we'll break down why emotional intelligence is often more attractive than looks. Bullseye introduction: when subtle interest comes your way, sometimes, without realizing it, you might become the center of someone's attention, quietly, discreetly, and without a word spoken. In these situations, someone may be subtly opening a door for connection. And here's the part we often forget: that openness takes courage, especially for women, because it places them in a vulnerable position. Brain section 1. The psychology of emotional exposure. Social psychology and behavioral science show that people, especially women, often test the waters of interest in indirect ways. They offer proximity without pushing. They initiate light conversation, often leaving space for you to respond. They give you their attention, without demanding yours. This is not just flirtation. It's emotional risk-taking in a world where rejection can feel personal and permanent. Understanding this can shift how we interpret these moments, not as casual encounters, but as opportunities that carry emotional weight. Handshake Section 2. Responding with integrity. So what's the appropriate response? If you sense someone is quietly reaching out, respond with genuine kindness, even if you're unsure how you feel. Be clear, but not harsh. Most importantly, stay sensitive to the emotional investment they've made, even if it's small. True confidence isn't just about self-assurance. It's about emotional intelligence, knowing when your presence affects someone, and responding with grace. Checkmark conclusion. Quiet power carries responsibility. If you naturally draw people in through how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you move, then understand this. That power comes with responsibility. The people who notice you may not always tell you directly, but in their own way, they've already taken a chance. The most attractive thing a man can do? Handle subtle affection with dignity and compassion. In our next episode, we'll explore how emotional depth creates lasting attraction beyond surface charm. 4. Final message. Locke introduction. Reframing what attraction really means. We often think attraction is about standing out, fancy clothes, impressive cars, clever lines, but the truth is far more grounded and far more powerful. Because the kind of attraction that lasts, that draws people in on a deep level, doesn't come from performance. It comes from presence. Seedling Section 1. The core elements of genuine attraction. Let's break it down. Psychology and emotional research consistently show that 3 traits form the foundation of authentic attractiveness. Honesty, being transparent about who you are, without needing to impress. Kindness, not performative politeness, but a deeper respect for others and yourself. Confidence, not arrogance, but the quiet assurance that comes from living by your values. These aren't tricks. They're not for show. They're character traits, and they grow stronger over time. Think of someone in your life who is effortlessly magnetic. Chances are, it's not their looks or income, it's their clarity of character that draws people in. Repeat button Section 2. Why it works at any age. Here's what's remarkable. These traits don't fade, they deepen. A man in his 20s who's grounded in himself stands out. A man in his 40s or 60s who lives with clarity and emotional depth, he becomes unforgettable. Because no matter your age, true attractiveness is not situational. It's relational. It's about how others feel in your presence, and how you carry yourself when no one's watching. Checkmark conclusion. Become the person, not the persona. So here's the final insight. Real attraction is not something you chase. It's something you cultivate through the way you live, think, and show up every day. Don't perform, don't pretend, just build character. And trust. The right people will notice. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of insight on becoming your best self.